You probably know this one. Every Jewish holiday can be described in 10 words or less. Join me. They tried to kill us. We survived. Let's eat. Then there's the classic Jewish telegram. Start worrying. Details to follow. My teacher, Rabbi David Ellenson, used to say that we Jews are a people who won't take yes for an answer. It's true. We are a people who take some pride in our suffering. But the fact that we can laugh about it is part of the key to our survival. According to Erin Lynn Rabb, PhD, laughter is number 2 in 7 research-backed ways to grow more resilient. She doesn't say what number 1 is. Oh well. Mark Twain had something to say about Jewish survival. The Egyptian, the Babylonian, and the Persian rose, filled the planet with sound and splendor, then faded to dream stuff and passed away. The Greek and the Roman followed and made a great vast noise, and they are gone. Other peoples have sprung up and held their torch high for a time, but it burned out, and they sit in twilight now or have vanished. The Jews saw them all and are still here. All other forces pass, but they remain. What is their secret? What is the secret, indeed? This morning, I'd like to propose that it is, at least in part, deep-seated resilience. We generally think of resilience as the ability to bounce back after trouble, which makes linguistic sense because the word comes from the Latin verb resilire, meaning to spring back or recoil. Be that as it may, resilience ideally isn't just bouncing back, but rather progressing forward. Psychologists define resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity and trauma. Adapting well. When struck with crisis or trauma or tragedy, we can't bounce back to who we were. The goal of resilience is more than survival. It is growth. I recognize that there are times when survival is all one can expect, but still, I think it's worth striving for growth. Across the span of Jewish history, the Jewish people has experienced trauma after trauma, and we have not just survived, but thrived. After destruction or expulsion, bouncing back was not an option. The previous paradigm was no longer available. Again and again, we have found ways to recover and revision, reseed and regenerate vital Jewish life. We have cultivated resilience both individually and collectively. Look to your right or to your left or on your screen, and you will see someone who is resilient. Our presence here today, whether together in our sanctuary or watching at home, testifies to our resilience as a community and as individuals. It's been a really tough couple of years, and we are here because each of us is resilient. You might be thinking, no, I'm not. Probably because you're comparing yourself to one of those people we hear about who are extraordinarily resilient. Holocaust survivors, cancer survivors, survivors of mass shootings, terrible accidents, wars, or terror. And you're wondering, what do they have that enables them to keep going after unspeakable tragedy? And where can I get some? The thing is, resilience isn't something we either have or don't have. It's something we develop through practice, experience, and perspective, so we're prepared when the next bad thing comes along. We have all made it this far, but I would venture that most of us could still use a little boost to our resilience. If we cultivate resilience now, it will build on itself because practice makes progress. It's like saving for retirement. The earlier you start saving, the more you'll have when you need it. While we may be a glass half empty people, ours is a glass half full tradition, providing us with rich resources to cultivate resilience. Jewish resilience finds its source in the long arc of time. When we took the Torah scroll out from the ark, we sing, Adonai Melech, Adonai Malach, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Va'ed. God has reigned. God now reigns. God will reign forever and ever. In Adon Olam, our closing song last night, we sang, V'hu haya, v'hu hoveh, v'hu yiyeh b'tifara. But we sang it better than that. I even practiced. God was, v'hu haya, v'hu hoveh, God is, v'hu yiyeh b'tifara, and God will be in glory. I see in these verses a Jewish strategy for resilience. Judaism teaches us in equal measures to remember the past, embrace the present, and build for the future. When we face adversity, our past is evidence that we can endure it. Our mitzvot strengthen our days and years, and our future motivates us to persevere. We can carry on because generations before us have proven that we can. We persist now because future generations depend on us. Emory University professor Robin Feibush has done extensive study on the power of family stories for building resilience, and it was no surprise to me to discover she was Jewish. Studying children in the aftermath of 9/11 and COVID, she discovered that the most important predictor of children's resilience in the face of challenges is knowing the history of their family. We are B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel, and the Jewish people is our family. Knowing our family story builds our resilience. It's a long story, of course, and actually goes more like, they tried to kill us, we survived, even better than before. When the Second Temple in Jerusalem was destroyed in 70 of the Common Era, it meant the end of biblical Jewish practice, sacrificial offerings, and priestly rituals. But it didn't mean the end of Judaism because the sages regrouped and created a whole new paradigm for Jewish life as we now know it, centered around synagogue and home, study, ritual, and justice. During the Spanish Inquisition, Sephardi Jews were persecuted and expelled from Spain and Portugal. They responded by fashioning the mystical tradition, Kabbalah. Eastern European pogroms resulted in the emergence of Hasidism. The Enlightenment introduced Jewish emancipation, which was good. It brought many opportunities, but also an identity crisis, sparking tremendous cultural creativity, itself a vibrant expression of resilience as growth. Spinoza's philosophy, Marx's political theory, Freud's psychiatry, Durkheim's sociology, Einstein's physics, Schoenberg's music, Musar, early Zionism, and Reform Judaism. And after the Holocaust, the modern state of Israel was born, an independent Jewish state in our ancient homeland after 2,000 years of being ruled by others. But just knowing Jewish history doesn't necessarily build resilience. Family stories are about memory. History we know in our heads, memories, even of generations long past, we feel in our hearts. In the book, Everything is Illuminated, Jonathan Safran Foer writes, Jews have 6 senses: touch, taste, sight, smell, hearing, and memory. For Jews, memory is no less primary than the prick of a pin. The Jew is pricked by a pin and remembers back to other pinpricks. When his mother tried to fix his sleeve while his arm was still in it. When his grandfather's fingers fell asleep from stroking his great-grandfather's damp forehead. When Abraham tested the knife point to be sure Isaac would feel no pain. When a Jew encounters a pin, he asks, what does it remember like? Gabriel Garcia Marquez wrote, what matters in life is not what happens to you, but what you remember and how you remember it. The Hebrew word remember, zachor, appears almost 200 times in the Hebrew Bible. Joshua Foer, brother of Jonathan Safran Foer and co-founder of Sefaria, for those of you who use Sefaria, Joshua Foer says that while other people remember by thinking, Jews remember by doing. The rituals we do on our holy days enable us to feel the memories, not just know them. When we eat our matzah on Passover, we say, Bechol dor vador chayav adam lerot et atzmo ke'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim. In every generation, we are to feel as if we ourselves left Egypt. This embodied memory of liberation from slavery can fortify us when we are feeling oppressed in our own lives. Counting the Omer, the ritual recalling the days of wandering which led to the covenant at Mount Sinai, can encourage us when we are feeling lost or directionless. Purim makes us laugh. Number 2 in resilience strategies. Tisha B'Av, the commemoration of our worst tragedies, is connected to Rosh Hashanah by reciting the 7 Haftarot of consolation, reminding us that even after tragedy, renewal is possible. While we remember the past, we are not stuck there. Judaism teaches us to be fully present in the present. We began our service last night with the Hinene Prayer. Hinene, I am here, present, focused, and ready to pray with intention. Our mitzvot are a vehicle for intentional living, and intentional living builds resilience. Saying the motzi before eating, reciting the bedtime Shema, or lighting Shabbat candles all bring heightened awareness, even holiness, to the moment. The Talmudic mitzvah of saying 100 blessings each day is a gratitude practice. And neuroscience research has shown that gratitude practices rewire our brains to be more resilient. And maybe that's number 1 in RAB's research-based strategies. Another proven resilience strategy is stopping to recharge and recover. Jewish time is structured to end each week with Shabbat. The Torah tells us, Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. On the 7th day, God rested and was refreshed, and we are to do the same. Whether we observe Shabbat in traditional or innovative ways, accessing Shabbat's 3 main elements, Menucha, rest, Kedusha, holiness, and Oneg, delight, can recharge our bodies and our souls, strengthening us for whatever may arise. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks writes, in many other faiths, life down here on earth with its loves, losses, triumphs, and defeats is not the highest value. For them, heaven is to be found in life after death, or the soul in communion with God, free of pain or trouble. But for Judaism, that is not quite life. It may be noble, spiritual, sublime, but it is not life in all its passion, responsibility, and risk. Our biblical forebears surely must have known passion, responsibility, and risk of God's calls to them. And yet, Abraham, Joseph, and Moses each responded, Hinene, I am here. I am here, ready to do what needs to be done, even though I know it will be difficult. Saying Hinene to life's challenges both requires and cultivates resilience. The Hasidic Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk said, there is nothing more whole than a broken heart. Leonard Cohen expressed it, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Current research has demonstrated what Menachem Mendel already knew. Resilience is built not by denying our brokenness, but by acknowledging and growing from it. The Talmud teaches that the tablets of the covenant that Moses smashed after the golden calf incident were placed in the ark along with the new tablets. The two sets of tablets, the broken and the whole, side by side in the holy ark, teach us that brokenness and wholeness coexist, that after crisis or loss, we can move forward without denying that we were once broken, and a full life can ensue, though differently than before. We build resilience by acknowledging our vulnerability and then moving step by step, sometimes baby steps forward. Eleanor Roosevelt said, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I have lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. We can draw on past recoveries to reassure ourselves that things can get better. When we are feeling whole, recalling our own vulnerability can motivate us to reach out to others who are broken. Hillel taught, Im ein ani li mili. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, ma ani, what am I? Physical and emotional self-care are obvious and well-proven strategies for building resilience. But resilience cannot thrive in isolation. Just as the broken and the whole tablets were kept together in the Holy Ark, the whole and the broken dwell together in community. Offering compassion and understanding to others strengthens our own resilience as well. I am deeply grateful to those of you who have allowed me to be with you at the hospital or to walk with you in your grief, because those experiences have gifted me resilience to face my own losses. Thank you. Something of this truth drove the work of one of those exceptionally resilient people I mentioned earlier. Psychotherapist Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz by dedicating himself to giving other prisoners the will to live. He helped each of them find a task that was calling to them, something they had not yet done, but that only they could do. He helped them survive the present by giving them a future. After the war, Frankl built a school of psychotherapy based on the human search for meaning. He taught people to hear the future calling to them. Jonathan Sachs draws upon Frankl in his book, Future Tense. In the last chapter, Sachs argues that Judaism is bolstered by looking to the future. He writes, we are not here by accident. We are here because God wants us to be, and because there is a task we are meant to fulfill. Discovering what that is not easy, but for each of us, there is something God is calling on us to do, a future not yet made that awaits our making. I understand this as a more helpful inversion of the platitude, everything happens for a reason. I believe that even though much of what happens to us is random, resilience comes from finding meaning in it, and that meaning gives us purpose. The Partisaner Lied, inspired by the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, is a song not just of resistance, but of resilience born of faith in the future. Sag nicht keinmal, als du gehst dem letzten Weg. Never say that you are on the final way, though darkened skies may now conceal the blue of day, because the hour that we longed for is so near. Beneath our feet, the earth shall thunder. We are here. And if time is long before the sun appears, let this song go like a signal through the years. Let this song go like a signal through the years. One of the most deeply ingrained Jewish concepts is lidor vador, from generation to generation. We tell family stories, carry on traditions, engage in tikkun olam, because we care about the next generation and the one after that. Envisioning and working towards a better future provides purpose and hope, both essential aspects of resilience. It's been a tough couple of years. We have lost loved ones. We've been ill ourselves. We've seen democracy imperiled, rights withdrawn, racism and anti-Semitism on the rise. We've seen communities felled by natural disaster and war. And yet, Hinene, we are here, the broken and the whole together in this holy community. Hinene, we are here, reflecting on our pasts, making amends, praying for and committing to a better future. Hinene, we are here, building up our stores of resilience through memory, mitzvot, and faith, so that whatever befalls us in the coming year, we will not just bounce back and survive, but move forward and thrive. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will.